Maggie was a young girl from a small African village where life was simple and dreams were often confined to the horizon of the land. But Maggie was different. She had bigger dreams, ones that stretched far beyond the fields she had grown up in. She wanted to see the world, to find a way to support herself, to stand tall in a world that often felt too big for someone like her. One day, with nothing but a small bag and a heart full of hope, Maggie bid farewell to her family and set out for the city, determined to find work. It wasn't easy, and when she first arrived, she had no idea where to begin. She had heard of a bureau in the city where people could find work as house helps, and that was her first stop. The bureau was a busy, bustling place filled with women from all walks of life. Some were older, some younger, all hopeful for a chance to earn a living. Maggie waited her turn, observing quietly, learning from the others as they talked about their experiences. For a week she stayed at the bureau, and during that time, the women taught her things she never knew: how to use a washing machine, how to vacuum, how to work a microwave, and even how to cook with a modern stove. These were skills Maggie had never encountered back home in the village, where everything was done by hand, over an open fire, or with the most basic tools. After what felt like an eternity of waiting, Maggie was selected by a woman who had a large 5-bedroom house. The woman was kind at first, showing Maggie the ropes of the household: how to clean, how to organize, and how to manage the tasks of a home. Maggie was eager to please. She worked tirelessly, washing dishes, sweeping floors, folding clothes, and cooking meals. For a while, everything seemed perfect. The house was large, the work was steady, and Maggie felt like she was building a life. But soon, things began to change. Her employer, who had once seemed warm and approachable, became distant and cold. The treatment Maggie received grew harsher. Her boss began giving her less food, and when Maggie tried to speak up, she was ignored. The room that Maggie had been given, a spacious one on the second floor, was suddenly taken from her. Her new room was small, dark, and had nothing but a thin mattress on the floor. There were no blankets, no comfort, just the bare essentials. Even worse, Maggie found herself locked inside the house every day. Her boss would leave for work, and Maggie would be confined to the house with no way to leave. The gates were always locked, and only her boss had the key. It was a suffocating feeling, but Maggie, afraid of being left with nothing, endured. She kept quiet, kept working, and tried to make the best of it. There was no way out, or so she thought. One Sunday, her boss had visitors over. Maggie was given the usual task of taking out the trash, but this time her boss told her to do it alone. Normally, her boss would accompany her, but not today. With a heavy bag of trash in her hands, Maggie walked to the gate, prepared to throw it away. As she did, she noticed a woman walking her dog along the street. The woman smiled and waved. "Hi, I'm Mama Pendo," she said. "What's your name?" Maggie, feeling the weight of her loneliness, smiled back and introduced herself. She didn't expect to say much, but somehow, in that moment, something inside her cracked. She began to open up to Mama Pendo, telling her about her work, her struggles, and the cruel treatment she had been enduring. Mama Pendo listened patiently, her expression softening with sympathy. "I'm so sorry to hear that," Mama Pendo said, her voice filled with compassion. "But don't worry, I'll help you. I know how to get you out of there. Call me anytime. You're not alone." The encounter was brief, but it planted a seed of hope in Maggie's heart. When she returned to the house, she thought about Mama Pendo's words. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way out. A few days later, when Maggie's boss was away, she received a call from Mama Pendo. The woman had a plan. Maggie didn't hesitate. She packed a small bag, and with her heart racing, she slipped out of the house when the gate was briefly unlocked. Mama Pendo was waiting for her. With her help, Maggie escaped the prison of that house and found refuge with a new family, one that treated her with respect and dignity. The new job was everything Maggie had dreamed of. She was paid fairly, treated well, and most importantly, she was free. She had found not just a new job, but a new sense of independence, a new chance at life. Years later, Maggie would often think back to that dark time in the big house, but now she saw it as part of her journey, a journey that had led her to a brighter, more hopeful future. And she would never forget the kindness of a stranger who had helped her when she needed it most. In the end, Maggie realized that sometimes the hardest paths lead to the most beautiful destinations, and it only takes one person to believe in you to help you find your way.